What is going on, guys, and welcome to The People's Podcast. We're back for episode 7 of The People's Podcast. We had a unwanted special episode midweek about the Barcelona terrorist attacks. Our thoughts and prayers still with those affected in that attack, in the Finland attack, and in the Russia stabbings as well, and all the other terrorist attacks that have gone in the past. So if you did miss that video and want to check it out, then make sure you go check that out. We will be doing the comments review, and we will be reviewing, funnily enough, almost 3 episodes worth of comments. Now, that kind of sounds confusing. There's a couple of comments that we've got to go through back on episode 4, I think, or 5, I don't know. Basically, we're obviously going to be reviewing last episode's comment and also the terrorist comments. So, sorry, last episode's comments and the episode before that's comments. Fuck me in the arse. I don't know what I'm talking about.
It's because we're recording so many podcasts so close to each other.
Yeah, we're pumping these out, but you guys seem to be enjoying them and reacting. That's awesome. And we are still looking for guests. So if you do want to become a guest on this show, we've had a couple of inquiries and we're trying to organise some of that. Let us know down in the comment section below, or on Twitter or on Snapchat. You can add us on all of them. Mr. FIFA Cam, pretty much everything on me. Oh, apart from Snapchat, Cameron_MC. As for you, Lyle, it's Drummer Austin on YouTube, DA12HD on Twitter, and Drummer Austin on the old Snapchat. Add us up on there. We're going to get right into the comments review because we haven't got any time to waste because SummerSlam is fast approaching. Now you know what day we're recording this. But one thing I will say, big episode today for Lyle. He is going to be leading this mainly because it's all going to be about the moon landing and how it's thick. I meant to say fake. I accidentally said thick. I'm not as clued up as Lyle, so he's going to be leading this one. So it's probably going to be a shit podcast, but it's going to be fun. I'm really enjoying it. So I'm really going to hopefully enjoy it. Really going to fuck me. Let's just get into the comments review. I'm in a happy mood because Chelsea just won. Boom, boom, boom. Let's get into the comments review. Boom. Don't go checking your emotions.
That is totally going in. That is going in.
Right, let's get into the comments review then. And we're first going to be reviewing KWE's comments on a second channel now after his original one was terminated. Just really shocking, isn't it, Lara? I mean, we can't. I said to you,
it makes no sense, man.
It doesn't make any sense. No, it makes absolutely no sense. But another fantastic comment, and one thing I wanted to pick out, there's a couple of things I want to pick out. He talks about Chelsea winning, and you know what? He is the lucky guy. He predicted it. He got it right. Thanks to him, we won. And we won, so that's a good thing. Like, is there anything you want to say about that comment?
I'm going to stick to where you said, right there, because all of the rest of the comment to me was fairly thorough, and there's not really to me because I haven't got much brain power to pick anything out from it. But he says about Manchester United scoring 8 goals, I wouldn't get used to it. We started like this last season. We'll probably finish 10th. You know, probably Lukaku will get injured, and then we'll be absolutely screwed. But they do say Zlatan Ibrahimovic could be on his way again, so that's looking up. But yeah, that's just a point.
Who missed so many chances last season. Great.
That's just a point. That's just a point that I wanted to bring up because he did mention Man United, and me being a Man United supporter and not having my head in the clouds and being brainwashed by Mourinho, Liam, but. You know, I don't trust him. Basically, I don't trust Mourinho because he's so miserable. You win 4-0 back to back. You think he could smile, just once, like a little. My nan smiles more than he does, and she's got mental bloody health issues. All right, she's got bad depression, and she smiles more than fucking Mourinho does. So yeah, that's just something that I wanted to bring up. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Deep.
Sorry.
The Deep People's Podcast. 47 meters down. Whereas I honestly thought it was called 47 meters deep. Which at first I thought it was some sort of porn film. I thought this is a little bit. 47 meters. I mean, that is extreme. But anyway, back to normal. Before this one adds to the list of videos for Lara that can't be advertised. I think we can actually add that.
Let's just speak about that quickly.
Yeah,
4 out of the 6 of my bloody podcast episodes, I'll stick it on the screen now. 4 out of the 6 of them, what do you reckon they are? Not suitable for all advertisers. Episode 1, we talked about YouTube. That's not monetized. Episode 2. I don't give a shit about the money. Don't get me wrong. I just don't understand. I've never had this on my blooming channel.
All about the money, Lyle. We know it now. It's all come out.
I don't earn jack shit from YouTube anyway, right? But episode 1, we talked about YouTube and the state of it. Yeah, that's obviously demonetized. Yeah. The second one, what did we talk about in that one? I can't even remember, man. But I know the Barcelona attack one's demonetized. The one where he talked about North Korea is demonetized. And it's just a never-ending spiral of just absolute dog shit.
And look, at the end of the day, like, you still haven't done that episode that you really want to do, which was Hitler's a really nice person. You know, that one's definitely going to be demonetized. I better intercept there and claim that is a joke before anyone takes any personal offence to that. It is a joke. The one thing I suppose I always say, don't joke about Hitler, but I mean, I'm politically correct. I mean, Hitler was a cunt. But let's move on. A couple of things that I wanted to quickly bring up in the comment. A couple of points that I disagree with, and I don't mean it in a sort of aggressive, confrontational way, although I do like confrontation, but not with people that take out the time and the effort to do that. But me and Lara both thought this when we were reading the comment, because we went through it again together. And just your thing on the media, I agree that obviously if a newspaper or media has a political position, they of course will probably change the news and twist the news a little bit. But reported facts are, need to be reported as facts. And the BBC, which is a lot what me and Lyle talk about, is paid by, for the most part, by taxpayers, paid by the people. And that is and has a job to be impartial. Therefore, when it is basically censoring stuff, not showing us the full story, showing a political bias, of course, there is a problem with that because it's being paid for and it should be impartial, if you know what I mean. So I just want to bring up that point. I could go on about North Korea, but I won't because there are a couple of things I wanted to bring up there, but I mean, we'd be going on all day and then it would be just back and forth, so whatever. So yeah, no, again, another fantastic comment. Really, really do appreciate that. And all I can say on the North Korea thing, it looks like what Trump did in fact work. And I would disagree that Trump and Obama's positions were similar. That I would disagree with. Obama with a pushover. And the thing with Obama, I think he was seen globally as a bit of a weak leader. Trump, I think people know, some people who hate Trump would say it's because he's, they think he's mentally deranged, whatever. But he is seen as somebody who is, if he says something, he might well carry out. He might well do it. And it seems to work on, as Lara likes to call him, Kim Fat-un. So that is another great comment. We appreciate your comments. And we're really, really sorry about what happened to your channel. Me especially, all those comments that you left on Warren stuff completely gone, which I'm gutted about. But, as I say, you've got your head up and you're still commenting. That's fantastic. So we really really do appreciate that.
You even said to me how you used to go on to your old Ware videos and you'd read his comments, so you didn't have to sit through, in your words, what did you say, the crap that it was. You used to read his comments to know where we basically were. So that's just something that I wanted to bring up, and now they're all fucking gone thanks to you.
And funny enough, I was actually doing that, weren't I, Lyle, the day before?
Yeah, you said that to me, which is just...
But there we go. So again, thank you for the comment. We will move on. Actually, there might be a comment that I have been forced to bring up. That's kind of I mean, there's still that whole nuclear weapons hoax thing. Coming up. Here's a comment that was actually on Nothing Makes Sense podcast as well. Comes from Mohammed saying, enjoying the podcast. I just want to say one thing. Why does everyone hate and think negative about Trump? As I've said before, he's not a coward and will have things done to protect his country. I echo that point. I agree with you, son. I don't know if I called you son. But yeah, I really enjoyed the podcast and I've learned a lot from them. Lyle and Cameron are the best. We appreciate that. We're both glad that people are actually learning stuff from the podcast. How you're learning something from Lyle, I do not know. But I assume you're just learning stuff from me. But no, we do appreciate that comment, and I wanted to bring it up because you've commented on the video, and we didn't get to say your comment last time because you hadn't made it at the time thing. Anyways, beside the point now, we've made it now. So yeah, Lyle, do you want to go on your video? And yeah, should we go with that?
Yeah, let's do it. So I got actually quite a couple comments on this video. One comes in from Heat Music, and they say, "Hi, Drummer Austin, awesome video, my friend. Thank you very much." The next one comes in from Hayden or Blazeshot YT, just as a smiley face.
Quality guy.
So I'm smiling right now. He is a quality guy. In the 24-hour charity stream, at some points during the night, he was the only one that was there, and I'm glad he was there. Luke Salter Townsend just says, is it true that if you like early, you get a cheeky pin? But now we'll go into the two big boys. We've got one from TA. I did like it, and I did pin
the question. You have not answered the question.
I did like it, and it is pinned. Okay,
that is good. That is what I like to hear.
All right. Now we go into the two big boys. The two big comments. These two have commented a couple times, and they've started to become big comments, and I'm thankful for it because I enjoy thoroughly reading them. One comes in from TA or Tom. The other one comes in from Harry. Now Harry's comment, basically, he was talking about how his nan sadly passed away. So thoughts with you and your family on that, and I am sorry to hear that. But he did drop a couple of questions for his comment. He basically says, do you guys remember Neo? How his music used to be so good and everyone loved him, but what does he do now? You know, I can't remember.
What he does now?
What does he do now? Probably, I was going to say probably drugs.
But... Oh, some of his songs were fantastic. My sexy love, do the things you do. Keep me strong, keep me running back to you. It's you I love.
Where is he now? It is a true point. You know, they just drop off.
But... Yeah, no, I agree with him totally. That's a good point. And I just want to say as well, commiserations to his family. Me and Lyle have both had grandparents die this year, and we know last year for you. Well, kind of last year, but this year. So we know exactly what you're going through at the moment. So thoughts to you and your family. At this difficult time, all I can say is it does get better.
I'd say I will just bring this up. A lady at my work. This is going to be really quite sad thing to say, but the end of the story does get better. It's not going to be a very long one. But a lady that works where I work at a garden centre, basically on last Wednesday, I believe it was, her mum passed away, literally out of the blue, and she had a collapsed aorta, if I'm correct, which is what my mum's dad had, and she says that, you know, she wouldn't have felt anything, it would have been over like that. And then she goes on to say that in Attleborough there was, oh god, I'll bleep that out, near where I live there was somebody that flipped their car right out near the butchers and the church. That was her. She totaled her car, right, literally the next day after her mum, because she was daydreaming, she was going to go into a parked car, and she turned the steering wheel to get away from it. She must have mounted, her wheel must have pushed up against the curb, and she flipped it. And then on the Friday, her heating went off. But on then the Saturday, before work today, she won £1,000 on the lottery. So, you know, it's not that much of a like cancels out the other things that have happened, but it does sort of show that things do get better, if you see what I mean.
Maybe that was maybe that was her mum somehow spinning it upstairs, if you get what I mean. I'm a believer of that, but
that's just something that I wanted to bring up, completely off topic. Well, it's not really. The next question that he does pose is, music from the 90s is now being remixed on the radio, and it is god awful. What are your opinions on that? In my personal, some of it is all right, it's bearable, but some of it's horrific.
Oh, come on, Lyle.
Some of it's horrific.
Come on, Lyle.
What do you think? Is it all crap?
Yes, I totally agree with Harry. What a comment! Can I just say that as well?
Comment, yeah. He's got one more question as well.
Bloody hell!
One more question. Just one more question. He says, "This is slightly going into the ghost thing, but I just thought, you know, going deeper into his comment, he did speak about, I believe, if I remember correctly, his mum went with one of his sisters and to see a person, and they knew every detail about his nan, so they can like read people's minds or know people's fortunes and that stuff." He basically, his question is, you know, when a family member goes to see a person who can talk to the dead, do you believe in that type of stuff?
Go on, you answer the question.
Do I believe, if somebody goes to say that they can talk to the dead, do I believe in that type of stuff? I'd like to think so. If I went to a person and wanted to speak to my granddad, I'd like to think that they could speak to him for me. There's always a part of my
think-
head that thinks that that's not possible, but I'd like to think so. It's a nice thought to think about, that you can still have communications through somebody else with a lost loved one.
I do think some of them are con artists, but I do think some of them are genuinely getting those messages through, because some are just too much detail, much to just sort of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yes, I suppose I do. Maybe it's because I want to believe it, but I do.
Now we're going to go on to TA or Tom's comment and his question. Once again, an absolutely amazing comment. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
He says, to kick it off, he says basically, would we ever consider revamping our channels? You know, because we say our channels are dead, maybe considering switching up the style and how we make our thumbnails, what our thumbnails look like, the channel art on our channel. And but we'll keep it at that for now. There is a second part to that question. But do you think, you know, we would ever consider doing that just to try and to get the views back in, if you see what I mean?
I do try to revamp at the start of FIFA's, but I mean, I should try a little bit more. It all comes down to money. I'm not a particularly good graphics designer. I'm shit, if I'm being frankly honest. And it costs money. You know, thumbnails cost £1 each. And if you're not earning that money back from the video, which at the moment I don't even advertise, so I'm not, it's kind of difficult. And I don't have infinite money. Yes, I'd love to give it a revamp. And yes, a great idea. And the fact you've said it makes me think, right, I definitely do need to revamp for the new FIFA. So,
But as you say,
I
that
mean,
costs
look,
money.
personally, I don't think my channel is revivable. I think it's dead beyond repair.
Speaking
Yours,
about
Lyle,
that,
yours, I think, is on the up, though. I think yours is on the up. I really do.
We'll get to me in a second. But speaking on, you totally think your channel's dead, right?
Yeah.
In Revivable, do you think if you created a timetable or a schedule so people knew exactly when you were going to be uploading, do you reckon, you know, the 6,000 would tune back in?
No, because I honestly think some of the 6,000s are dead. I think there's probably 5,000 of them that are dead. I mean, I don't literally mean dead. I mean, their channels haven't been accessed in ages, personally.
So then surely when they YouTube go around doing their spring cleaning, do you think a load of them will be deleted?
Yeah, but I mean, and I think others perhaps have massive subscriptions, so you never even get... I mean, I don't even look at my subscription box, if I'm being honest with you, so...
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I just... that's what I think. But I'm quite negative with the YouTube channel. That's not to say I'm going to give up on it, but, It's just about doing what, you know, at the end of the day, my priorities before were perhaps getting loads and loads of views. Now it's just about enjoying the content I'm making enjoying the videos, getting some reactions. So I've kind of changed it up a little bit. Well, my videos aren't good, are they? Let's be honest.
No, I think they're decent. You speak your opinion.
Yeah, that's what I do though. But I mean, the actual editorial thing is pretty shit. I mean, the Chelsea previews, I've tried to add something a little bit different. I am trying, but it's very hard when your reward is kind of poo views and no change really. But yeah, it's a great point to make. And can I just say about TA, appreciate you coming over on my channel, commenting on a couple of my recent videos. Appreciate your support.
For me, just quickly, I definitely think maybe trying to change up the thumbnails to give a distinctive look to your channel could make it seem alright. I'm just gonna pop a quick picture on the screen of Vanos Gaming's channel. He's got a very distinctive background, and you know, he's probably got maybe like 15 million subscribers, I think. But you know, I didn't know about him until but he's got like a very distinctive like rainbow gradient effect, and if you see that, you instantly know that it's one of his videos, and maybe that works for him. Maybe doing a timetable and a schedule, if you can stick to it, works. I know me and Cam aren't the best. I don't think we'd honestly be able to stick to it, and that's something that you don't want to let down your fans. So I've done a timetable in the before, and I probably stuck to it for about a week, and then something pops up, and then you can't get to making that video. You don't have the time to make the videos on the set days. But then he goes on to say, what are our future plans for our channels, and how long will we keep YouTube up if the views don't come back? For me, what's the future for my channel? The future for my channel is to keep going with probably the non-FIFA videos. I'm going to be honest here. Maybe I'll stream FIFA, but I don't honestly plan on uploading a FIFA video until FIFA 18 comes out. I'm quality. I'm sat here, Kushti, uploading these podcasts that we do. They are so much fun just to record and edit, in my opinion. I really love editing for some reason. Don't ask me why. And doing the Premier League Roundup series that I've just started doing, I really enjoy doing that. Just giving your thoughts and opinions on things and just speaking about stuff. That's what I like doing. The future after that is when FIFA 18 comes back, kicking off of a road to glory, doing trading videos again, getting my channel back to a decent place again, and then hopefully also continuing the podcast, also continuing the Premier League Roundup, non-FIFA videos, but maybe starting a career mode, trading to a player. You know, I've got things planned for FIFA 18, definitely, because I'm going to be getting the early access, because what I say, this year is going to be my last year, right, on YouTube. If things don't look up after a year, I'll give it till like this time next year. If things haven't started to look up, or maybe Christmas, I don't know, I'll probably call it, because, you know, I'm going to be working a lot more. I'll have less time because I'm at college now and I would do 3 days a week. I've got 2 days left to make videos, basically, and once that college is over, what am I going to be doing working full time? Probably at fucking Tesco's or something like that. So at the moment, this next year, I've got a little bit more time than I will have, but we'll just have to see. I've said basically what I'm going to do, and that's pretty much my plan. It's very long-winded, but hopefully you get what I mean.
Yeah. My answer to that question, if the views don't come back, how long will I last? Not very long. I don't think. I feel like I am a ticking time bomb, and it's counted down, and it will explode very, very quickly. I can see it happening just after FIFA 18, and when the views inevitably don't pick up, I can see it then. I came very close, as we know, the other week. Yeah. Little meltdown. It's not to say I won't upload videos, but what I will say is it may only be this podcast, and it may basically be a video once a month. You know, to be fair, I'll probably still do the Chelsea. I will probably just limit my channel to stuff I enjoy. To be honest, there's part of me that thinks I'll probably never ever quit YouTube. I'll probably be 85 if I make it that long and still upload, but it wouldn't surprise me. But there won't be any consistency, there won't be any logic, there won't be any real... you know, I'll just be uploading videos when I feel like it, you know what I mean? I suppose that's kind of what I'm doing now, so... Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like I'm attached to YouTube, and truly I could never properly leave. I think I'd always end up coming back, if I'm honest with you.
Moving on to the final question of his comment. He says, are we making videos because we feel we have to? And do we also still put loads of effort into making videos, or is it like a chore to us now? After, obviously, the views are down. We've referenced this many times. But my response to it is, to be honest... You know, if I didn't enjoy still making the content and interacting with you guys and editing and all that, I don't think I would have been able to have honestly done the 24-hour charity stream.
No.
You know, it's probably... Go on.
I think your channel's more alive than you think it is. I don't look at your channel as dead. You can't tell me your channel's dead. You get consistent comments that the charity stream just proved. That you have a fan base there willing to give their own money, you know, for a cause, and willing to support.
I mean, a guy donated £28.
Exactly. I don't think your channel's dead in the slightest. You're growing in views. You're growing in subscribers. It's the end of FIFA anyway, so it's dead. But you know, but it's happening, Lyle, and I'm not. Mine's not great. You are growing subscribers. Mine's staying the same. Do you know what I mean? So, and I'm not saying that, you know, like, make you feel bad for, you know, getting disappointed about things. I'm just saying, you know, look at the positives. You know, your channel is growing. Mine is stagnant. You know, your views maybe aren't growing at the moment, but that's because it's the end of FIFA, and there's no other reason for it. Whereas mine are not growing and haven't been throughout FIFA. You know what I mean? So. I think you need to be a bit more positive about your channel. I don't think it's dead in the slightest, and I think this year could be a really breakout year for you. Like next FIFA, if you get what I'm saying.
I did upload the most recent Premier League Roundup episode, the first one. I put a load of effort into that. I thought the quality was absolutely amazing, and that got over 100 views. So that did give me a little bit of a boost, because I haven't hit over 100 views in quite a while. You know, but then people come into the streams and be like, "How do you have a 2,000 subscriber channel?" and only 6 people are watching. Okay, we'll move on. We'll move on to that. Not talk about the 24-hour stream. as well as that, it's just a recent thing shows that I still really love making the content, because I had a driving lesson on the Friday. I had to really work hard to try to edit the podcast to get it out on the Friday. I know I missed the 5 p.m. slot, but I managed to get it out, and I was still happy with how it came out. The next day, I know we didn't really want to do it, but we recorded the podcast, I edited it, it went up the same day. Now on Sunday, I'm recording another podcast. You know, I think it just shows that I still have the drive to keep doing it, and the podcasts are definitely something that are keeping that drive there. And, you know, it just shows. I could have easily gone, I've made one on Friday, Cam, I can't be bothered to do. I'm not that type of person, you know, those terrorist attacks were
you're not that type
dreadful.
of person. See, I am. You won't give up. I just give up all the time. So that's the difference. Is you've got that you know, I don't know what the word is, fight really to be able to continue. Whereas me, I'm just like, fuck it, you know. That's just, and at the end of the day, that's just how it is, and that's great for you. And I wish I had it, but I fucking don't. But you know, great comments. We have just quickly. I mean, this has been a huge comments review.
Almost half.
But I do, yeah. But because we're doing multiple episodes and stuff and discussing different points, I don't think it's like we're rehashing last episode, so that's fine.
We're only
so let's
discussing
go on to the
questions,
things.
basically.
Yeah, let's go on to the terrorist thing, Lyle. Have you got any comments on your video on that? Or
I got one from Harry once again. You know, that just shows, you know, a loyal viewer, a very loyal viewer at the moment. So thank you very much, Harry. That really means a lot. He basically just speaks about how horrible, obviously, the situation is, and how, you know, pretty much we just spoke the truth. And not many people, when it comes to those circumstances of the terrorist attack, speak the truth. You know, they try to hide behind different things and make stuff up to try to cover stuff. But he says, you know, we were straight to the point. You know, we literally just told we spoke the truth, and he said it was good to hear. It was good to hear you two 100% speaking, you know, from your heart, from the like basically what you think and your viewpoint. You're not influenced by anybody else's viewpoint. But he said he was listening in Spain. So I do apologise about, you know, it's probably there's a lot of tensions in Spain at the moment. He was in Spain at the time of or whenever it was, I can't even remember, of when that Barcelona attack happened. But, you know, that's pretty much what we said. Also, Brad Fletch said, if you're on Xbox, I'd love to join your podcast. I love it. Thank you very much. But the only trouble with that, me and Cam do it over Skype. I did see you come into the stream, and I think I did explain it to you. But me and Cam do it over Skype, not over Xbox. So if you have a computer, you have Skype, and you would like to be involved, make sure to comment down your Twitter or something on this podcast, and I can definitely get in touch with you, and we could discuss which podcast you would like to be on, if you see what I mean. But that's all the comments I got on the terrorist one.
Okay, then on to my comments. We have a few, but only from 2 people. A couple of comments from Mohammed. He said, ban Islamic schools, ? Even the peaceful ones. I said, yes, we're a Christian country. You know, I'm not a lover of faith schools anyway, personally. But we are a Christian country, and for me, there shouldn't be faith schools of other that's not to say you can't practice a religion in this country, because of course you can, but having actual schools to do with that, I just think is ultimately wrong. Close down mosques. Yes, radical extremist mosques. They need to be shut down, but I never in the video did I say we should close down all mosques, nor did you, Lars, so it's an important thing. So there, the attackers were apparently Moroccan. Funnily enough, when the attack happened in Barcelona, I did say I wouldn't be surprised if these are Moroccan, from Morocco, just because they have been creating a lot of there seems to be a lot of terrorists that are Moroccan at the moment, and because Spain is relatively close, it wouldn't have surprised me. And then he also said, I just can't get over the fact that some fucking idiots can get the idea to kill innocent people, for fuck's sake. And yeah, of course we totally understand that. Then there was a comment from CYC Lots saying you can't stop terrorism. That's a hard fact that we must live with. The problem is not Islam, but the media use Islam as a scapegoat. I mean, I just thought that comment was hilarious. You can't stop terrorism. Right, okay, so what you just want us to do is basically, like you said, we've got to live with it. Well, I'm not prepared to live with people being run over, being killed, innocent lives being lost, being shot, being stabbed, being decapitated. I don't know about you, Lar, but I'm not one that's just going to accept that. And like we said in the video, there is damn well more than we can do. You said the problem is not Islam. but the media using Islam as a scapegoat. I find that absolutely hilarious. The media protects Islam unbelievably. And I can't even respond to that. I made a response, and then he responded, banning Islam and Muslims won't solve the problem, mate. Drugs are banned, but people are still fine. What a stupid analogy to use. I mean, honestly, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever said. And we never, ever did me or Lyle in that video say that we want Islam to be banned or Muslims to be banned. We only spoke about radical Muslims and reforming the religion of Islam. So please, if you're going to comment on the video and try and act smart, actually watch the fucking video, otherwise you sound like a dumb cunt.
You can tell though, can't you? I'm not saying that he didn't watch the video, but you can tell if your video is like 49 minutes long and they've already commented like
clearly he didn't. Clearly he fucking didn't watch the video, because if he actually watched the video, he would have changed his comment. But that's that. That's all the comments we got. We appreciate the support on those videos. Also, just quickly, we got a couple of tweets about the videos. One from Lewis Play saying this really is worth a watch. So I appreciate that. And then one from Max this morning, Max Lane, saying that he enjoyed the video and what we were saying. So we appreciate your support on Twitter. I don't know why I said call it Twitter. I always call it Twitter. Didn't mean to say it out loud. So we really appreciate that support for the both of you. Both of you have really supported. I can only speak for myself, but me especially recently. Both of you are there for the meltdown, and I honestly really do appreciate that. Max especially, I know he's a smart kid. And I'll tell you that we've spoke before about terrorist attacks and stuff like that, and he's certainly for a guy, he's a couple of years younger than us, and he's really got his head screwed on. And I give him a lot of credit, because I know how it feels to be like him in that situation. You can be shunned and by friends and stuff like that for having an opinion and for standing up for opinion, because I know that from personal experience. So I have a lot of respect for him for standing up for what he says, and I say keep it damn up. And if you want to come on a podcast, hit us up, because you'd be more than welcome. But yeah, that's that for reviewing the comments. And if that's that, Lyle, we're actually getting to the fucking podcast.
Oh no. That's it, let's go. So, on July 21st, 1969...
Cool, I tell you what, I remember that day, Lyle, I do. I remember it like it was yesterday. What a great day. Beautiful sunrise.
Apollo 11 basically landed on the lunar surface of the moon. Or did they?
Oh, Lyle, I love it. It's like the start of a documentary.
That's why we are here today, folks. For me, the moon landing conspiracy theory is one of the most fascinating things in the world. I've watched documentary after documentary, researched loads of stuff about the moon landing, and I'm still not sure whether they did land or whether they didn't. Because you can watch a conspiracy theory saying that they didn't, and the facts and the information that they've got to support that side of it, and then you can watch a documentary about the moon landing, and then you can get, you can get so upbeat and really hope that it is that it was real. So Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were the first two people on the moon, if you didn't know. Michael Collins was the third member of the crew who just stayed in the lunar module. Now, the first point that I want to get onto, how this really doesn't make sense to me. So, when the lunar module hasn't even landed on the moon, they were worried about the crater size and whether the module would sort of fall into the hole, because that's how big of a hole they thought that it would make. Okay? But when you look at the pictures of the lunar module, there isn't nothing. There's no crater. There's nothing. Not even a little one. There's nothing there. It's almost as if the lunar module was just placed there. Just put there on a film set. Now,
right.
For me, they backed this up pretty much. I'm not going to go on all over the video basically saying how NASA and that backed it up. They backed it up by pretty much saying that the thrusters weren't strong enough to blow holes in the rock or blow a crater into the rock. But that's, for me, is just a really interesting point. How, if you do look, I'll pop pictures up on the screen as we go.
Make sure you pop some pictures up as we go along
throughout the video. But you can make your own judgment. I mean, I'm a fence sitter on this conspiracy theory. I'm not going to lie, but that no landing crater is just a very interesting point I did want to start with. What do you personally think of that point in general, Cam?
Right. Let's just talk first then about you
Yeah.
and the fact you're sitting on the fence.
Okay.
It's not the fact you're sitting on the fence, but what I want to ask is,
Mm-hmm.
you can't tell me you're 110% 50-50. You must think, even if it's just a little bit.
For me, it's just there's so many theories and things that add up in my head that are true about how it's not, how they didn't do it.
There we go.
I think it's probably 51-49. If you don't want me to be sat on the fence.
Lyle has said it now,
For
folks. He thinks the moon landing is fake.
What about for you?
He thinks it is fake, folks.
What about for you?
Me?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I love a conspiracy theory, Lyle.
Conspiracy theory is the best thing in the world.
Hashtag love it. But the moon landing conspiracy theory was something I really delved into detail a couple years ago. It does mean I've forgotten a lot, but from memory, I was 100% sure the moon landing didn't happen. I am pretty sure it didn't happen. And I'm going to bring out a little statistic here, Lyle. Didn't do a lot of research, but I've done a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And this is according to Wikipedia, great source. It says that between 6 and 20% of Americans don't believe the moon landing was real. When you move on to Britons, 25%. 1 in 4 British people don't think the moon landing happened. What about the Russians? Now, I'm sure we'll talk about them a little bit more, a little later on.
Yeah.
28% of them say no, it didn't happen. It was faked. There is a lot of people that believe this one, and there's and look, as I say, I've looked at so many conspiracy theories. You name it, I have looked at it. I guarantee it wouldn't be a conspiracy theory unless it's like a really recent one that I haven't looked at. Well, I want to talk a little bit about 9/11 a little bit later on.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly so we can put it in the title to get a few more extra views. But no, I do want to talk about that a little bit later. But one thing I do want to bring up about conspiracy theory. Now, I'm not saying I 100% believe that the moon landing happened. That's just what I felt, 2 years ago. Now I would probably say, on a scale, probably 80-20. I'm pretty sure it didn't happen. But what I always think with conspiracy theory is there's got to be a reason. You know what I mean? That's the first thing I look for. And if there ain't a reason for it, then I think, well, fuck it, it's bullshit. And what I would say, a word of caution, Lyle, and I know this from extensive fucking conspiracy theories of all sorts. The videos that these people make, if they honestly 100% believe in that conspiracy theory, they do make it very believable. And that's not to say all the time they use facts. They do twist things. They do outright lie. Some stuff they say is false. So I do think you do have to, and I'm not saying you haven't fact checked, and that's not what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is we have to, and with conspiracies, it's always important to just remember that the person you're listening to either 100% believes in the conspiracy or 100% doesn't. So it's always important to be able to decipher and fact check when you're talking about conspiracy theories. Because, otherwise you can basically, if you watch convincing, and these videos, some of them are mad convincing. You watch them and you can genuinely believe that something that, I mean, there's been stuff before that there's been conspiracies about, right? That I have no doubt that after watching the video, even if I'd physically seen with my eyes that it actually happened, I would probably believe the conspiracy theory video because it's that believable. And that's just a point I want to make. That said, I do believe in the moon landing. I do believe in a lot of conspiracy theories. I'm one of these people that I do have a habit of believing them. Not all of them, I want to say. I'm not a Holocaust denier. That conspiracy is one of the most fucked up conspiracies I have ever think. But the videos they make, they do make it not believable because I'm rational and when you actually fact check. But this is what I'm saying. If you watch the video, if you show that video to an 11-year-old or some of these Holocaust ones, and I often watch them just to laugh, at just how ridiculously retarded these people are. If you show an 11-year-old that and they didn't fact check, I wouldn't be surprised if they believed it. And that's just what I want to say. So always fact check. Always make sure that the facts are thing. I'm not trying to be patronising you. I'm just telling you from personal experience. It's not that I've ever thought the Holocaust is not real. And as soon as you start fact checking the stuff they say, you realise it's bullshit. It's one of the most interesting conspiracies, not because the conspiracy itself is interesting, because it's actually tragic, but actually there are genuinely people that believe it. I love the 9/11 conspiracy. Well, I don't love it, but it's a really interesting one. I agree with you. The moon landing one's one of the most exciting ones. Another thing with conspiracy theories, this is the point I originally was going to bring up before I went off on a tangent, which is typical me. Which I did start to say. There's got to be a motive. There's got to be a reason. If there ain't a reason, then what's the point? The reason, obviously, for the moon landing is quite obvious for me. It was the space race.
Yeah.
In the middle of the Civil War, it's Russia versus the US, or the USSR versus the USSR versus the US. Who is going to get to space first? Who's going to get to the moon first? And Russia had won a little bit, hadn't they, with stuff before?
They were so far ahead, yeah.
Yeah, and it was the fact that the US almost came out of nowhere, and there was a reason. We want to get to the moon first, because stuff like that, when you do something first, nobody can take it away from you. Nobody can do it better because you've done it first, if you see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, nobody can take that away, so you've won, if you see what I'm saying. That's the special thing about doing something first. The person who does it second is irrelevant, really. And it doesn't matter how spectacular they do it. It's never going to be as good as the first. And, you know, you can say that about a lot in life. Football, sports, everything, really. You know, the first time, well, maybe not the first time is always the best. I'm just thinking about maybe in the bedroom. But, basically what I'm saying is, there was a reason. The space race, US and the USSR, massive rivalry there. The US don't like losing. And they were losing a little bit. And how quickly they did it when they were so far behind just instantly raises alarm bells to me. You know, they were losing and losing and losing. All of a sudden, they're at the... I mean, for me, it's unbelievable. But yeah, there we go. My long thoughts, Lyle, on your a brief opening fucking statement.
So one thing that I would say is, as you say, being first to do something is amazing. Now, I'm not sure how many times successfully America managed to get a men on the moon, but by my memory, I don't think anybody else apart from America ever did or has ever done. Why is that? Even if Russia lost, they should still, you know, they were so far ahead.
You know,
why
so
not
you're
put
saying
somebody...
that makes you think that maybe it's fake.
That's
it raises alarm bells. I see what you're saying. The one thing I would say to that, playing devil's advocate here, is maybe, you know, once someone's landed on the moon, they've done it. You know, why land on the moon again? You know what I mean? It's not as if, unless you're going to do like massive research, and there's no point in landing on there to do that. You can do that anyway with fucking cameras and shit like that.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, there's got to be a reason, because, you know, this costs a lot of money. Why would you want to go do it again when it's already been done? I would possibly say, but then again, like I'm saying, I'm playing devil's advocate, but I see your point. It does suggest that maybe it's harder than it looks, and maybe it's not actually happened before. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, and there's other points, and I'll bring up a couple of points I know, Lyle. I don't know them very well, so you will have to help. But there's this thing that I hear about, and by all means, you're going to have to give the details here. I've got no doubt this is a point. From memory, they spoke a lot about shadows.
Yeah.
And also the flag, and how it waved, and how apparently it in theory shouldn't have waved because there's no wind, and how there shouldn't have been shadows. Do you want to expand on that?
Well, they say about the shadows, but I'm not 100% clued up on how shadows are supposed to work. But if there's only one source of light being the sun, I was going to say, or the moon, being the sun, then why is there's some pictures, I'll try to get them up on the screen, just to show my point. There's a picture of an astronaut who is facing the camera, and then his shadow is coming downwards in front of him, but then there's a rock, and then the rock shadow is going behind. So that surely says, unless it's been edited or whatever, that there's an artificial light source there. As for the waving flag, with there being no atmosphere, no air, therefore no wind, 100%. I think I'm not 100% on how on why it's doing so. You'd think
and how
it would
they faked that in the studio, yeah. That's the thing, though, isn't it? And that's a good point. People believe it was in a studio, and there's obviously that film that they released or something like that. Again, I'm not.
Or in Area 51. Maybe that's why they cover it up.
And there is that famous picture, which I do believe has been debunked. I do think it's been debunked, where they apparently see the camera in the thing. One thing I wanted to bring up is, and this may just be retarded, and this is from literally memory, when they go and step down, there is a thing that almost says action. There's like sounds like a director in his ear that accidentally comes through. Have you heard about that line?
I haven't, no. And
it almost, I'm surprised actually, and it almost sounds like it's a director kind of saying, yeah, now you can go. Now, it could have just been the person talking to him and saying, right, you're on camera now, which actually kind of sounds like it's in a studio, but obviously it was being filmed. But yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point. There's so much to it, and that's why, for me, I sway towards believing the fact that it probably is fake, is because there's so much. Do you know what I mean?
There's something else like that as well. When what was it? Like they're in the actual rocket going to the moon, and he's checking outside the window or something like that. And then once again, somebody in his ear, Neil Armstrong goes quiet, and then somebody in his ear just says talk. Instantly, Neil Armstrong talks away. And then another thing that, if I remember correctly, another thing that's really interesting to me is how the television like programs, channels, they weren't allowed to get, I might be wrong guys, I might be wrong, but if I remember correctly, they weren't allowed to have the moon landing, the footage directly shown on to the TV screens. It was NASA filming the sort of, what would you call it?
So there was a delay.
No, yeah. So then they had time to edit it. NASA were filming the whiteboard, let's call it, because I can't think of the proper word, like a thing, and then they would then give it to the television companies to then broadcast out to the public.
Playing devil's advocate,
mm-hmm.
What I would say is if you are going to fake the moon landing, you're going to do it right. If you're going to do it in a film studio, you are going to make sure you have not done any mistakes. You are going to make sure there aren't any shadows that, you know, can be thinking. You're going to make sure the flag, you know, is not waving. You're going to make sure that there's not this kind of little voice in the background that sounds like a director, that there's not this camera in the background. You're going to make sure you do it right. So either it happened, or they really did a bad job of faking it. Because that's the thing. They have done, if this is fake, they have done a shit job.
That's
Let's
for me,
be honest.
The 1%.
I know 75% believe it, but that is a shit job.
That's for me the 1%. There's okay. I'm gonna go on two topics right here that for me, probably I'm not 51% sure that they did. I honestly don't know if it's still 50-50 and I'm a fucking fence sitter, because as you say, they wouldn't have fucked up that bad, and the amount of people that were involved in the moon landing to keep their mouths shut, I don't think is possible.
Yeah, but then again, I'm going to play devil's advocate this time the other way. I don't think you'd have needed that many people. I don't think you'd have needed that many people. You'd have needed a director. You'd have needed a few people. You could have written lawsuits that, God, you know, you can't kill them, but if they say anything, you're ruining their lives, basically.
Yeah.
You know, you could. You know, I do think that that's possible. And, you know, one thing else, you know, another thing I will add is the fact that, you know, if you were doing this, and again, I'm playing devil's advocate on the other side, so sorry about following this. Surely, if you were faking this, you wouldn't do it live. You'd have it pre-filmed, you know. So, I mean, maybe they did seriously cock up, and maybe this was a dumb idea, and maybe there was, because you wanted there to be so few people involved, like you say, because you don't want it to get out. Maybe that was kind of the bit where they fucked up, because they didn't get the people in the know-how to say, don't have that shadow there because that'll prove that, and don't have that flag moving because that'll make you look you know, maybe that was the problem. I don't know. The other thing I'd like to say is, you know, it was, when you look at the date when it happened, 1960, when was it, 1969?
Yep.
Yeah. You know, technology wasn't that advanced. You know, tellies had only just kind of, I don't know, were they still black and white? I think they were, weren't they?
Well, definitely.
You know,
the moon landing was shot in black and
but
white.
they somehow managed to film on the moon and get it back. I don't know about that. Do you know what I mean? And the moon doesn't even look that big on these pictures. You know, it doesn't even look that big.
Oh, that's another point. Well,
do you know what I mean?
Going on like about that, I think there's back-to-back images, right, of different Apollo missions, and the background of the moon is always the same.
Yeah, and that is like...
That to me is just fascinating.
And I think the other thing, there's one other thing I would want to bring up from what I've just remembered. A lot of people died. A lot of people who have spoke about it. A lot of people who maybe have a bit of information mysteriously have died. And you find with a lot of conspiracies that happens, and that always swings to maybe it being true. And the other thing is, there was a documentary I must have been watching about a year and a half ago, and I think it was thingy. What's his name? Buzz Lightyear. What's his name?
Buzz Aldrin?
No, the other one.
Neil Armstrong?
That's it. Him. there was a guy sort of going round and saying, and asked him the question, interviewed, said, you know, this was like not like a normal sit-down interview, but, you know, like when he's walking normally, and said, you know, is the moon landing fake? Did you actually do it? And rather than answering the question, he just punched him in the face. Now, you could look at it two ways. You could say he's pissed off because he's done something incredible, something historic, and people are claiming he didn't.
Yeah.
And he finds it insulting. Or you could say he's not going to answer the question and he reacts like that because he didn't actually do it and he can't answer the question and it pisses him off that people are starting to work it out. So you could look at it both ways. And I don't know what way to look at it, and that's why it's so difficult with the moon. It's one of those conspiracies. I know I said I'm 80-20, but I actually think I'm more with you, Lyle. You know, the more I discuss it, now that I'm back talking about it again, I think I probably am. Near you, 50-50, but I do sway to believe in it. But compared to a conspiracy I want to talk about a little bit, and very, very briefly later on, I am very much on the fence, and I hate being on the fence.
I know you do. One thing that I would say regarding Neil Armstrong, obviously, as you say there, he was only just walking and as somebody asked him a question. Neil Armstrong never did a sit-down interview talking about the moon landing. As well as that, you know, until he died. Never did one. As well as that, Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins and Buzz Aldrin, all three that were involved in Apollo 11 shortly resigned, after Apollo 11. I wonder why that was. You know, it's just absolutely crazy.
So many questions. And truthfully, will we ever know the answer? I don't know that we will. I don't know.
Another one that I would like to bring up, probably one of the most famous ones, is the Sea Rock. Now, there's a picture of, if I remember correctly, it's, as well as that, Neil Armstrong was only ever pictured, he was never pictured as, like, all of the other pictures with Buzz Aldrin. That's probably, as I say, guys, if I'm getting some of this wrong, this is just from memory. If any of us are getting any of this wrong, don't go ham at us in the comments if you're, like, an expert. It's just a discussion that we're having, how we're literally swaying back and forth from believing and not believing it. Yeah. Anyway, the Sea Rock is potentially, what they call it, is a paper mache prop, and because it sort of has a sea carved into the rock. Maybe that could have been, maybe there's a prop A rock, a prop B rock, and he's remembered to turn those over, but the Sea Rock he hasn't. Therefore, you know, in a later picture when NASA probably went and edited them, the sea has obviously been airbrushed out, or it's no longer there.
Maybe this is where they cocked up. If we're going to pretend that, you know, we 100% believe that it's didn't happen. Maybe they cocked up because they actually tried to do it live. You know, they actually tried to do this pretty live, have a little bit of a delay, but pretty much do it live, and didn't get the experts in. You know, to say don't do that, don't put that there. And fucked up a little bit. You know, it's not totally unbelievable. And, you know, I've learned in recent years a lot of stuff that, you know, apparently wasn't true and was just a conspiracy. Certainly last year turned out not to be a conspiracy and turned out to be fact. And that opens your eyes. Yeah. Because I always say nothing is too... there are, as I say, we've discussed a couple of conspiracy theories that, no, they are just downright mad. But, you know, a lot of these conspiracy theories are, you know, possible. You know, look at MK Ultra. You know, people always say to me, why would they fake the moon landing? You know, why would they do some of these conspiracy theories? Look at MK Ultra. Why would they do that? They have history, you know. And it's not just the US. The US is a very corrupt country, and it's not shots at the US, but most countries are corrupt. Why would in Britain they cover up child sexual abuse, you know, for so many years? Why did Jimmy Savile not be caught? You know what I mean? Why did it happen? You know, there are evil people out there, and that's something we have to expect. There are evil people, whether you think they're Satanist worshippers, you know, the devil, I don't know. But there are evil people out there, and things like this may happen. And look, the moon landing thing isn't even that evil. It's not even sadistic. I can never fucking say that word. There's a genuine reason, because they wanted to win the race war, the space war, the space race. You know, they wanted to win that. And that's not even that evil. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the fact that there are ones that are evil and people go, no, there's no way, that would just be outright evil. Why would they want to be doing that? Being proved true, why couldn't the moon landing have been faked?
100%.
Somebody can't tell me. There's stuff they're not telling us about the moon landing. That I am sure. There is stuff they aren't telling us. And I don't care, even if you 100% believe it happened, you can't tell me they're telling us the full story. You can't.
Another thing, just this is probably the last point on the moon landing, and then we will move on to, if you want to speak about 9/11, we can. Pretty much in the pictures that were, by the way, I'm speaking a little bit quieter than I normally would because it's 9:20 and my brother's in bed because he's got to get up at like 5 a.m. So the crosshairs in the pictures, they're known as crosshairs. They are basically things that they burn in directly onto the image, and so the crosshairs, I don't know if you've heard about this, Cam, they would appear on top of everything. But in some of the images or the pictures, the crosshairs are seen to be partially behind objects. So that could mean that they edited the pictures to look, I can't say that word, they've composited two images together to make it look more realistic, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, that is certainly a little bit fishy, and there's a lot of stuff about the moon landing that is fishy. I'll finish with my final thoughts then, as this is like your topic. I'll allow you then obviously to finish with your final thoughts. I'm not 100% sure on the moon landing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. There's a lot of questions, ones that I don't honestly think will be answered, but there does seem to be a lot that is just, fishy, like I say. One thing I will say, I'm a firm believer of this. If it was faked, you better believe they did one of the worst faking jobs in history. Or did they? Because still, the majority of people believe that the moon landing was real. So maybe, even if they did do a bad job, maybe people are, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't a bad job after all. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just my final thoughts.
For me, it's one of the greatest things to happen ever, in my opinion. And for it to be faked does put a downer on it quite a lot. Because when I was a kid, I used to love space, the moon, researching about the moon landing. Not the conspiracy theories, I will add. Just researching about that. But as Cam says, if they did fake it, it was the worst job in the world. I'm literally on the fence, but then I'm falling off the fence to believe that it was a conspiracy theory, and then I'm on the fence again, and then I'm over the other side, then I'm believing that it's true. It's one of the most pivotal conspiracy theories that there is, and it's just, it can literally go either way, depending on what you want to believe, or what, as you said, as Cam says, or what you've been fed by people that just believe conspiracy theories. Go on.
Can I ask you one last question?
Go on.
Is there anything that could definitively make you think the moon landing 100% happened?
If they can go on to the moon again and see the flags, see the landing sites of all of these different Apollo missions, that will 100%.
But then you could say that they've done it
again. Then
this is what I'm saying. I don't think you can. I don't think either of us will. I think there's a lot of people like that. I don't think
unless
anybody will.
Me and you go there.
Yeah, but even then, I'd probably say they've probably somehow got a flag up there. They could have easily on one of these satellites. It doesn't even take a human to do it. Yeah. What I'm saying, I don't think there's anything that could make me 100% believe.
I would be more happy if because who was going up on the moon in a couple of years' time? I don't know. Is it China? I'm not sure.
China.
They might be going up into the moon, and then for me, more stuff will be revealed. But as you say, I still won't 100% believe, but I'll be more swaying towards. But now you can't even say, because Neil Armstrong's dead, and he wasn't going to say anything anyway, because as you say, they'd make their life a living hell. I don't know. It's one of the most fascinating things to talk about, and I could talk about it all day.
Right, so we spoke about the moon landing, and how we think it's one of the most fascinating conspiracies. When you're talking about some of the biggest and best and most interesting conspiracies, and the best I use not necessarily in like, ooh, this is great, talk about 3,000 people that have died, but I mean it in the sense of, for a conspiracy, it's very, very exciting. You can't you cannot not include 9/11 in that. The fascinating thing about 9/11 is there are conspiracies within the conspiracies. There are so many theories. There are so many, there are ones that it was a missile that went into the Pentagon. Nothing went into the Pentagon. It was actually a plane that went into the Pentagon, but it had no people in it, that they'd been dropped off somewhere. That no planes crashed into the towers. That there were planes that crashed into the towers, but we knew about that. You see what I'm going? I could go on and on and on. There are so many different... And you have people that believe... you have the whole no plane believers. You have the whole there were planes, but Bush knew. There are so many different factors. One thing I will say, and this is where I think this conspiracy is different from the moon landing. I'm not 100% sure what happened on 9/11. Again, like the moon landing, I am 100% sure they're not telling us the full story. What I will say is, there are far too many coincidences. There are far too many things to say this is 110% happened how they said it happened. That is what I am 100% sure. Now, did Bush orchestrate 9/11? I don't personally think that's the case. But then again, I still don't know. What I think is more likely is they probably knew it was going to happen and chose for whatever reason not to. I don't know. It's so impossible because I am convinced, and I'm telling you this, I'm 100%, those towers were brought down by explosives. That you can, and I'll tell you one thing, and I know people will probably try and debunk this, but this is just a thought I've had, Lyle, and I don't know if I've said this to you. Mm-hmm. We had that awful fire in London this year, Grenfell. Awful fire. I saw it. I went to London yesterday, drove past it. It is, I kid you not, one of the worst scenes I've ever seen in my life. I tell you this for nothing. You see it on the telly, it looks bad. In real life, it is absolutely horrific. I can't even describe it to you. It is just like a horror film. One of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. But that building is still standing. You're trying to tell me that those buildings that are the state of the, Grenfell Tower, not a massive, innovation, you know what I mean? Very basic building. But these towers, huge, massive, so much safety, so much this. You're trying to tell me they went down, and they went down the way they did. It looked like a controlled explosion. These people that do this stuff, they do it so terribly. You hear, there's videos of you hearing an explosion. And the thing that I find unbelievable, there's the whole thing of there's no way that you could melt through steel. That scientifically it's impossible. And that's great. And I don't disagree with it. But there was another tower that went down, right? A lot of people don't know about the third tower that went down. They said it went down, and I quote, from debris from the other fallen towers. Are they seriously having a joke here? Grenfell Tower burnt for how long, Lyle?
Days.
Ages, didn't it?
Not sure days, but
it didn't go down.
No.
They're trying to tell me that debris, and don't get me wrong, this is a huge, the trade centers were huge. There'd have been big debris, don't get me wrong. But you're trying to tell me that made it go down? Come on. I mean, that is just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Again, motivation. Simple. War, oil. Yeah, it's simple as that. Gave them an excuse to go to war where there was oil, basically.
As you say, Bush may have heard about it, and then he didn't.
But why did it take him so long to scramble those thingies up? Why did it take him so long? How did they lose these things on the radar? Why didn't, as soon as they lose them, they shoot them down? They already knew about terrorism. They already knew about the rise of it, and they already knew the threat of it. The big thing, I think, and the Pentagon, another thing, 100%, 110%, it was not a plane. It was a missile. What happened to that plane and the people on it? I don't know. Are they still alive? I don't know. These people are brutal. It was probably landed and killed. But there's no way it was a plane. 100% sure of that. Definitely a missile. The 2 CCTV images they're missing? Guess what, Lyle? Funnily enough, the one frame that's crucial, the one frame that would prove exactly what went into the Pentagon, they can't find the frame. That's the one frame that's missing. It's funny that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's garages and everything opposite. Confiscated that footage instantly. really is crazy. The no plane thing, I'm not a believer of. I don't think. I'm sure there were planes. There is that video, and it's very, very bleak. And look, I've certainly delved down that rabbit hole. I'm so far down on the rabbit hole for 9/11. It's unbelievable. But the other thing with the Pentagon, stand on the Pentagon, money. They'd lost a lot of money, billions and billions of pounds the day before. How do you forget? How do you get the news to stop talking about the Pentagon losing billions and trillions of pounds? Well, if a missile goes into it and America's under the biggest attack ever, that will shut them up. That will push it off the news cycle. And it did, of course. So it's just another reason. And how famous people who were meant to be at the Trade Center that day all mysteriously ended up not being there. There are so many fucking things that don't add up. And because it's such a complex thing, and because it's such a, there was so many stuff that happened. The third tower going down, the two towers, the planes being hijacked and not being caught, the thing scrambling up, Bush's reaction when he was at the school reading that thing, the missile, the Pentagon, there's so much, and even that other plane that went down. There's so much to it. It's impossible really to even yourself come up with a coherent thing. But what I'm 100% sure is nobody honestly truly knows what happens. Well, there are obviously people that do know what happens, but we don't know. We are not being told the full story, and it's not fair because there are thousands of people that have died. One of the worst days in world history, not just American history. And those people that lost their lives, they deserve, and we deserve the truth. It's as simple as that. And we aren't being told the truth at the moment. As I say, I am so far down the rabbit hole when it comes to 9/11. It is unbelievable. What's your thoughts, Lyle? Is it a conspiracy you've really researched, or?
It's not one that I've really researched. The research that I have done is about how, if a plane was to crash into a tower, why didn't it go clean through, if you see what I mean? Yeah. And then the wings didn't go clean through, and then there'd be two holes there just for a missile that went into it. But for me, I think a plane went into the two towers. The Pentagon, it just seems, as you say, it seems just written in the stars for a bloody missile to be put into there.
Written in the stars?
Well, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Just to sidetrack people's attention and the media's attention off of that. Stick a missile into that, and that does the job. How they how they just went down, straight down. And as people say, there's, apparently you can see videos of bombs going off as the building comes down. There's bombs going off, but I'm not sure about that. But how else? Yeah. How else would they come down? Surely you'd expect the tower to fall over. It's not just going to come down lovely. No,
it's not going to come down like a controlled explosion unless it is a controlled explosion.
And that's what it looks like, 100%.
And there were planes that went up before and were going around and surveying it a couple of months before that looked really weird footage there. I think the guy who owned it all sold it before. I mean, it's just odd. And this is what I say, there are so many coincidences. There are so many things that just would, if it happened the way that they said it happened, would have just had to happen. There are scientific laws that we would have to throw out the window if this happened. If how they said it is, that it just no way.
Even if
that this
because the plane's hit the very top, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that a correct assumption to?
Well, they hit the top. It didn't hit literally the top, but near the top.
Then surely the whole thing wouldn't come down. If you see what I mean?
It just defies.
Because then, the top part, that falls off. It's not going to fall straight down. That falls off. But then two of them perfectly coming down, it's just not for me. That doesn't make sense. I still, that one's a little bit more of a touchier subject. So you sort of want to believe, believe straight up the facts that they were telling you. If you see what I mean?
Maybe it was so complex that they were scared of letting people know the truth, because it was that complex, and that it was a missile, and that it was bombs, and that they didn't just hit the World Trade Center, but they also managed to implement a thing. Maybe they were too, I don't know, but it is suspicious that it was then used as justification. And I'm literally reading off Wikipedia here for the Afghan and Iraq war, but we did speak about that obviously earlier. It is weird, It is just such an interesting conspiracy. and I know everybody at some point has probably looked at it. As I say, not everyone's as far down the rabbit hole as me. I will admit that. I'm so far down the rabbit hole, I can't get back up.
He's
no matter how
he's
big a
three
ladder.
movies into Alice in Wonderland.
I'm not. Yeah, 100%. You've described that perfectly. But I just thought we'd bring up 9/11. It's not as much of an in-depth analysis as you and the moon landing, but I just want to bring it up because I think when you're talking about conspiracy theories, it's wrong not to bring up what I would say is the biggest conspiracy theory of all, that being 9/11. So yeah, that's pretty much it, isn't it, for this podcast?
I think we've just probably topped the longest podcast ever.
I'll be right. I mean, there is a couple of bits that you've got to read it out, but I think you're probably right. I think this might be the longest people podcast ever, not straight to the point podcast.
You as the people,
those have gone over 2 hours.
The people, let us know in the comments about what we've spoken about today. The moon landing and the conspiracy theories. Let me know where you're at with that. If I've gotten any of the information wrong, don't bite my head off.
Or if there's any other information that you guys know in either of them
with 9/11,
that we haven't said, we love to learn more about them because I find them both conspiracy theories very, very interesting.
Yeah.
And if there's another conspiracy theory that you want us to talk about, let us know. As I say, I love doing. I haven't got anything better to do than watch conspiracy theories. So if I'm bound to know the conspiracy theory. So if you want us to briefly touch on it on another topic. In another episode, then feel free to let us know down in the comments below.
So anyway, guys, if you have enjoyed this video, please be sure to drop a like. We do really appreciate comments on both sets of videos. That really means a lot, and just thank you for the support. I feel like the support of the podcasts are picking up a little bit more, which is really, really good to see. Hopefully this one comes out on Friday at 5 PM. You never know with me. But yeah, subscribe if you are new to both of our channels. Check out our Twitter. They're all on the screen right now. So yeah, hopefully if you have any questions or any information, don't take what I say about the moon landing to point. 'Cause some of the points that I do make and the information that I do give might be wrong. But same thing with the 9/11. Let me know and Cam know your thoughts in the comments about the moon landing and the 9/11 conspiracy. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys, and we will see you in the next podcast. See you later, guys.